the Ryder Cup. You had some profound words the night before the final day leading up to the greatest comeback in U.S. Ryder Cup history.
You know, it's funny, in the last month and a half, I've had talks again with Tom Lehman, Hal Sutton, and Hal Sutton's caddy, Freddie Bennett. Hal Sutton was the backbone of our team that week, and Tom Lehman led us out on the last day in such a convincing way. And those two guys played so well. Those two guys had to lead and lead well for us to have a chance. And as convincing as their play was, it just absolutely bred a chain reaction with the rest of the team warming up on the range. Here comes Justin Leonard coming back from 4 down at the corner of the golf course, and he faces this putt that is not holeable. And the ball crept up the slope and went in the hole from 45 feet. I've never seen anything like it. What unfurled that day was some of the most explosive golf that I've ever seen. And it was a thing to witness. And I mean, the hair stood up on the back of my neck.
I have had the pleasure, I mean, I actually got to play for him when he was Ryder Cup captain in ~85. And we played on a couple teams together before that, and we never got to play together. I don't know why. I guess just a little bit different first time.
They always put us. You were very aggressive, and you had no fear. And what happens? The captains knew. Like at the time I took Jerry Payne. Yeah. Jerry Payne. We were playing Walton Heath, and Jerry Payne had never won a point. He played in the Walker Cup, never won a point. And Dave Moore put him first round. He got beat. And he's a nervous wreck, you remember? And so he calls me in.
Probably the most talented guy on the team.
Oh, this guy was oozing with talent. So what they do is they grabbed me and Floyd, and he took me in the other room, and he says, "What am I going to do with Payne?" I said, "Put him with me." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'll caddy for the boy. The boy can play." I said, "I'll caddy for him." So he puts me with him the next day, and we're playing a 4-ball. And we're playing Faldo and Samton. We get on the first hole, and anybody ever played Walton Heath, there's a wall on the left of the first green. And I drove my ball down the right side. And then I walked over, and Payne's in the middle of the fairway. And he's very nervous. He's sitting there, and he walks over, and he says, "Where'd you go? Where'd you go?" Remember this one? And I showed him the ball. I got it in my hand. Swear don't stack about it. I've got the ball in my hand. So he says, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, I had a bad lie where I didn't want to hurt myself. I picked it up. He said, "You picked it up?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Hit something in there." He said, "I'm going to cut a 4. I said, "You're going to cut a 4 off that wall? Are you crazy?" I said, "Hit a 5-iron with a little drop." Hits it like this. We won. You can look it up in the record. I think we won 4-3 or 5-4. I don't remember. We walked off. BBC interviewed us. And BBC comes over, and I said, I just want you to know one thing, that I'm playing with the greatest golfer from the shoulders down that you've ever seen.
The Ryder Cup achievements as well. 7 times you were on the U.S. Ryder Cup team. 1997, you were the captain. What did that mean to you to be a part of that team and to be a part of that rivalry with the Europeans?
Well, when I first made it, it was really not much of a rivalry. My first Ryder Cup was in 1979, and that was the first year that Europe kind of got into the fold. Prior to that time, it was the U.S. versus Britain, and I mean, that was a thumping. I mean, that was, honestly, that was just, you knew the outcome of the Ryder Cup matches before you ever went over there. But in 1977, after the Ryder Cup there, Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer really expressed some strong feelings that the Ryder Cup ought to include the players from Europe. And '79 was the first year that was enacted. Now, we won still big in 1979 and again in 1981, but you could kind of see what was starting to happen. The groundwork, the framework for what has now become the Ryder Cup was laid back then. And you know, from that point on, after 1981, it became a much more competitive matches, and it's a tremendous thrill to make a Ryder Cup team, much less play 7 of them. And then to be named captain of the Ryder Cup is a mark that I'm really proud of.
Ah, yes, don't mess with Texas. Hey, speaking of, one of the top collegiate golf programs in the country resides in the Lone Star State. We'll talk about it when Access Golf continues in a moment.